Alright guys, Egne here with another video. This one we are going to be going into migration tips and tricks. Some of these will actually apply with cross-server convocation as well. So keep a look at it and we'll see if this helps anybody. But before we get into that, as usual, I have to give a shout out to my sponsor. We are sponsored by Aptoid, which can give you anywhere from 5 to 40% off any in-game purchase. Full video is in the description below. That can explain that how you can benefit from that from using my code EGNE5, as well as a link to my Discord that is in the chat below. We do giveaways. We recently just did a $500 giveaway, so join in and see if you can't get something back, as I'm trying to give back to the community. All right, so with migration, obviously the older servers no longer have access to migration. The ability to migrate actually ends as soon as you have your very first island. After that, it turns over into cross-server convocation. Now, there's plus and minuses of cross-server convocation. With cross-server convocation, you actually are able to talk to people via the game before you actually enter their server or before you even apply to go to the server. Plus, it's an application process. You actually have to apply to go to the alliance that you want to go to. The downside of it is it's very difficult to be able to move entire alliances unless you can get several alliances on that server to be able to help your entire alliance basically move through, as you only get 30 slots in the actual cross-server convocation. Now with migration is different, and migration is tricky because with migration, a lot of times rogues come in. Now, the easiest way to be able to combat rogues actually coming into your own personal server is to have everybody keep their power low. Because what happens is, for migration, if the person's power comes within the top 10 in the server, then they're able to just come right in. Now, the top 10 has to get permission from the king in order to be able to come in. So that's something to always keep in mind. So with migration, now you got to look into, okay, so if I myself am trying to migrate, what is some of the things that I'm looking for? So we'll take, for example, if I was to migrate, if I was to say I wanted to migrate to, I don't know, I'll just say 450. Now you are limited to 150 brackets in which you're able to migrate to. So for me, it's from 300 to 450. But say I was wanting to move to 450. So one of the very first things that you can do is you can go to the tree. And from the tree, you can look at not only positions, but also you can look at alliance rankings. So that will give you a pretty good understanding of like what type of alliances are there, and which ones, if your alliance would be compatible within that area. I would also highly suggest to be able to reach out to other alliances that are in that that state to kind of get a feel. Now, next thing is, because you can see their server during the War of Kings, go look at their War of Kings whenever they are having a War of Kings, because if there's a lot of fighting going on at the War of Kings, I can tell you that it's not really a peaceful server. If that's your thing, that's fine, but if that's not your thing, then that kind of gives you a good representation of that. But the biggest thing is communication. The Ants community is big, but everybody knows everybody, especially within the same bracket after a while. The Ants official has a great community to where you can ask questions and be able to try to get to know people and figure them out that way. Great way to go recruiting and ask people. There's also Discords like my own and other YouTubers to where you can go and look at the different things that the server has with different people. So what you can also do is you can scroll around and try to find somebody from the alliance. A lot of times the bigger alliances will sit around the tree area just for the fact of easier access to level 15 hornets and level 15 insects, you know, higher gathering plots, etc., etc. Although it looks like this server, everybody is on island, I guess. So you can see like soldier defeats, stuff like that. Usually, if you hear about somebody being like a rogue or an asshole or something like that, a lot of times they're gonna have a lot of defeats. Or if you go back to the tree and they have a manifesto like, oh, we hit tiles or something like that, that lets you know that, you know, obviously that's a rogue that's holding the tree. And there are alliances that literally move from server to server just to destroy servers. So you got to look out for that. Now you can also go to Anthill ranking. You can see the power of who is currently in the server. Now if they're on an island, they will not show on this list, but you can go through and see like the different power. And then Warzone level. If they're pretty high on their levels, which this one is pretty damn high, that tells you that there's a lot of people on the server typically. So with that, that's really the main things that you really can go and look for if you're being blind. But I'm telling you, your biggest asset is to go on to TheAnts official, my Discord, other YouTubers' Discords. Every one of us has like a migration channel, a way to discuss and talk. For me, since I cater to a lot of the younger servers and such, there's a lot more from probably your bracket that are going to be in there, as well as in TheAnts official. So those are going to be your best bets to be able to try to get some information. But migration, dealing with people, everything like that, it takes time. It takes time, it takes patience. It's not something that you should think about doing lightly, because a lot of times when you make a jump, you don't usually make it back. So hopefully this helps, and we'll see you in the next one. Agnes out.